We are hockey-centric tonight, so get to that comfortable spot as we bring you all the net results. We also get out to the hard court to bring you some basketball action, as well as what happened the last few weeks. Sports Night is next.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Sports Night. I'm Joe Young.
And I'm Howard Schmidt. It's been a few weeks since
I love the intro. It encapsulates exactly what you're going to see in the next 30 minutes.
Well, yeah.
We're very hockey heavy. We did a lot of hockey games. They were close, and it was convenient. So that it's just the way that it worked out. But a lot to talk about. 3 weeks since our last show, of course. A lot of teams didn't compete a whole lot over the 3 weeks because of all the holidays in there, but a lot to get caught up on for sure. We will start with the hockey teams and show you most of the highlights that we have right here in the first couple of minutes of the show. We start with the boys team. Cardinals' last game before the holidays would make anybody feel the need to take a break. It was an epic battle with Duluth East. This game was crazy. There were 2 goals scored in the first 2 minutes of each of all 3 periods. Cardinals blew a lead, but then came from behind to secure a win over the Greyhounds. Cardinals start the scoring just over a minute in. Engberg forces the turnover. Barsness feeds Alphen. He finishes on the backhand. 1-0 home team. They'd celebrate again before their shift was over. Engberg plays it to Alphen behind the net. He finds Barsness out front, and the Cards' first 2 shots find the back of the net. They were outplayed for most of the first period, though, and still led 3-1 at the start of the second. Barsness had a hat trick 61 seconds into the second period. Cardinals were up 4-1 at that point. But the Greyhounds scored the next 4, including a shorthanded goal with just over a minute left in the period. They have a 5-4 lead going to the third. Cardinals even it up early in the third. Ben Kish sets it up for Trent Tyson. Duluth East answered 20 seconds after that goal. Still inside the first 2 minutes of the period. The Cardinals tied it then at 6. Then Jack Engberg gets the edge on the defender midway through the period. That turns out to be the game winner. Engberg added an empty netter, and that completed the 8-6 win. It was absolutely crazy game. Just
not a lot of defense.
Well, and here's to set the stage. So the JV goalie got hurt. So the JV team brought in a kid who had never played goalie before, threw some pads on him. He went out there and got a win, and not just a win where they pulled the goalie to tie the game with like a minute 14 left, then pulled the goalie again to get the game winner and get that kid a win. So you're thinking, how could the varsity game outdo that? Well, they could score 14 goals and have 2 goals in the first 2 minutes of every period. It was
a lot of offense.
It was crazy, but at least the good guys won. And they had another offensive outpouring when they hit the ice again after the first of the year. Their first time on ice in 2024 was against Osseo. They racked up 10 against the Orioles. Second time this season they've reached double digits. Ben Kish had 5 points. Eli Bowden had 4. Trent Tyson had the hat trick. Rowan Bresnahan had 3 assists. Caden Alphen and Luke Rising had 2 goals each.
Well, the Cardinals were hoping to make it 4 straight wins when they host the Centennial on Saturday. The Cougars, they're a conference and section rival, and while the Cardinals were considered the favorite, Centennial had really a tough schedule so far. They were more ready for this than ready for this contest, and it took right at the home team. Cougars controlled the first period and led 2-0 after 1, but the second is when they really opened it up. Tanner Grayson getting in alone and finding the 5-0 to give Centennial a 3-0 lead. Then they add to it less than a minute later. On the power play, Heath Nelson able to walk in on the left side, slip it past Wagner, make it 4-0. The Cardinals are going to get on the board not long after that. Good pressure through the neutral zone leads to a 2-1. Thiessen slides it back to Eli Bowden for the finish. Cards still alive, scores 4-1. But unfortunately, their celebration didn't last long. The Cougars are going to jump right back to the 4-goal lead. Harper Seals getting behind the defense, netting one of his 3 goals and 8 points in the game. Centennial added 2 shorthanded goals in the final minute of the second, and they coasted to a 9-1 win.
That's a tough one to swallow.
Yeah,
For a team that's pretty good,
Yeah.
To get blown out like that on home ice by a conference and section rival, that's a tough one to swallow because of the way it happened. You saw Harper Seals sneak in behind him on that stretch pass. There were a couple plays like that, and you can't give up two. You never want to give up shorthanded goals. You never want to give up goals in the last minute of a period, but to give up two shorthanded goals
that makes it
in
tough.
the final minute of the second period and fall behind 7-1 was really a backbreaker.
Well, and the Cardinals have been scoring goals, and only to come with one goal against Centennial, I know that's got to be disheartening for them as well.
Well, no time to feel bad for themselves. They're on the road to take on Totino Grace on Tuesday. They will be at Cloquet Esco Carlton on Saturday, taking on the Lumberjacks. Well, the girls hockey team has been very busy. 7 games, including a holiday tournament, since our last show. Bluebirds had won 3 straight when they hosted section rival North Wright County. The Riverhawks were just 4-7, but their schedule is a who's who of the state's top 10. They were not to be underestimated. North Wright County brought a lot of pressure and controlled the first period. Belle Leland's goal off a turnover had the Riverhawks ahead after 1. Bluebirds even it up early in the second. Beautiful backhand pass from Lily McKenzie to Sydney Bertovic. Shorthanded goal made it 1-1, but the Riverhawks answer with a pair of goals just 30 seconds apart. Roz Landkammer's tally on the rebound turned out to be the game winner. Bluebirds scored late in the second, but the only goal of the third was an empty netter, and the Riverhawks take a 4-2 win.
Yeah, and that's a tough loss because I think coming in they figured that's an opportunity to get a win, a team they probably should have beaten.
Against a section team.
Yeah, against a section team, and I think that's obviously another situation was disheartening to that club because they knew coming in this is a big game and they on their home ice and they probably should have won that
Felt
one.
some sting for sure.
Yes.
And then on Saturday, was it the 23rd? They played the number 1 team in the state, Minnetonka, and actually did pretty well, holding the Skippers to just 3. They lose 3-0. Heavily outshot, but Wastrel kept them in it. Still 9-4 at that point.
Well, the Bluebirds closed out the 2023 season at the Kaposa Classic, a tournament where they had mixed results in the past. CPCR won the tournament 2 years ago, but lost 2 of their 3 games in the shootout last season. They were hoping they could return to the top this time around. They opened against Elk River after the Elks evened the score late in the third. The Bluebirds answered 20 seconds later. June Semling's goal gave CPCR a 3-2 win. Nice goal there. Well, they're going to meet up next with the hosts from South St. Paul in the semis, and their controlled start to finish. June Semling's first period goal was the game winner. Again, Wastrel made 19 saves for a 3-0 shutout. That's going to put them in the championship game against Holy Angels. No score until midway through the second. Lily McKenzie able to poke home a rebound and put CPCR on the board. They're going to add to the lead late in the period. Good pressure down low. Tessa Bowden's backhander finds a hole, and the Bluebirds go to the third up 2-0. Well, the Stars, they controlled the third and forced this one all the way to a shootout. Sydney Bernovic jams this one home to secure the win. Lily McKenzie also scored in the shootout. Bluebirds take the title with a shootout win. Nice to get that win.
Yeah.
Even though it counts as a tie, they still get the win.
Yep, and yeah, they had the 2 that. So technically they were unbeaten at the Kaposia Classic last year, but they lost in the first round in a shootout, I believe, to Holy Angels, and in the Consolation Championship to Egan. This year they kind of exercise that demon. They get a win in shootout, and they get the championship. They kind of keep that momentum rolling. They would have liked to have not given up the 2-0 lead to begin with, but Holy Angels is a quality club. And
I think they were rated number 2 in 1A, I believe.
And so, definitely not anything to hang your shoulders about too much. And, hey, they get to ice the cup for the second time in 3 years.
Absolutely.
Well, back to business in the new year, a home-and-home series. They started doing this with the Blaine Bengals a couple years ago. I love the idea. And they battled through overtime to a 2-2 tie. Sydney Bernovic and Lily McKenzie a goal and an assist each. June Semling also assisted on both. Maddie Wastrel made 31 saves to get the tie. Well, the Bluebirds and the Bengals took the ice again on Saturday afternoon, this time at Crick for part 2 of the home-and-home series. Bluebirds felt they let the first game get away from them a little bit, and here was another chance to get a big win against a conference rival. Unfortunately, the Bengals had other ideas. It was Military Appreciation Night for CPCR, the players honoring veterans with a pregame ceremony. Bluebirds controlling the game, but no scoring until early in the second. They turn it over high in their zone, and Taylor Olson takes it straight to the net, beating Lostro 5-0 and putting Blaine on top 1-0. Cardinals answer midway through the period. Sydney Bertovic, great patience on the wall, finds Lily McKenzie coming in. She buries the wrist shot, and it's tied at 1. It stays that way until early in the third. Bluebirds power play. Callie Alphin's shot from the point is tipped up front by Sydney Bertovic. CPCR has the 2-1 lead, and they hold it until the final 30 seconds of regulation. Bengals pull the goalie for an extra attacker. Work it down low. Chapman finds Graceland Knowles on the doorstep. We're headed to overtime. Tied it 2 again. This time, though, it wouldn't end in a tie. Schaefer with a great pass to send Sierra Ledeen in alone. She beats Wastrel glove side. Blaine comes from behind to score the overtime winner.
That's another contest. They outshot them 44-17.
Yeah.
In a game that they should have handily won, and unfortunately they did not. And that's got to be a little disconcerting to them as well, because they tied to Blaine, and then they lost to Blaine in the overtime.
And talking to Coach Gutterman, his biggest concern was the weak side defending and allowing players to slip behind and give up those odd man rushes, and that's exactly what happened in overtime. Lost track of the player behind, and they get in on a breakaway.
They did.
And that's too against a conference opponent that you feel, you definitely can beat and maybe should beat 8 out of 10 times. Instead, you're 1 tie and 1 loss.
Yeah, disappointing.
Well, they will. The Bluebirds will host Cooper Armstrong on Tuesday this week. They'll be at Centennial Spring Lake Park a week from Tuesday. Wrestling team before the Christmas break headed to Eau Claire. Or no, it was after Christmas, before New Year's. They headed to Eau Claire for the holiday duels. It's a round-robin pool place tournament. They started with conference opponent Maple Grove, lost by 2, then tied Plainview Elgin Millville, but lost in the tiebreaker, and then they lost handily to Wisconsin Rapids, which is one of the top teams in the state of Wisconsin. Jack Bridenstine, you saw the list of guys who were 3-0 there. That put them into the brackets with the other teams that had finished at the bottom of their pools, and the Cardinals able to win out in the 2-game bracket, 58-18 over Independence and 54-24 over Matamidi. What else did they had something else happen.
Yeah, they had a couple more.
They had wrestling just this past, was it Thursday night? Friday night. They were in Champlin Park for a try with Andover and the Rebels. They squeaked out a win, having to come from behind against the Huskies. They win 34-33, and then a little more secure victory, 44-21 over the hosts from Champlin Park. There you see the list of guys who finished 2-0 on the night. I think they had 5 or 6 pins in that win over Andover.
Yeah,
so
those are 2
huge.
nice wins. The Andover and Champlin Park, those are 2 nice wins for the program for sure.
Well, they will have a chance to try and pick up 2 more in the conference on Thursday when they host a try against Elk River and Osseo and Howie.
We'll be there.
Then they will host Blaine next Friday.
I think we'll be there as well at that one.
I believe you are correct, without getting too far ahead of myself, but I am way ahead of myself on the script. So I'll try and right my ship. We're up to gymnastics. Gymnastics team got their first win of the season on the 19th, beating Park Center with a 105.075 score for the Cardinals. Callie Barker led in all 4 events. finishing first in the all-around 29.95. Angel Marshall was second in the bars, and Callie Rombach was third place on the bars. So a 1-2-3 finish for the Cardinals. Then on the 4th, on Thursday, they were in a tri-meet with Champlin Park and Osseo, and the Cardinals finished second, so they get their second win of the season over Champlin Park. Back to a 111.55, so their score jumped back up to kind of where it was in their first meet of the season. Osseo scored a 122 to get the win. Rombach was second place in the vault, and Callie Barker was their top finisher in most events once again. They have coming up, they are at Elk River on Thursday, and then the Osseo Invitational on Saturday. A lot of graphics over this part of the show as we get caught up on 3 weeks of activity. Swimming and diving team, where was their first one was against Anoka, or first one since our last show. They lost 102-81 to the Tornadoes. A lot of first place finishes, though. You look down there, a couple of seconds, but a lot of first place finishes, and that's great to see against those top level teams. And then let's flip to the next one. That was on January 1st. It was January 4th. Yeah. Against Champlin Park, they won 94-92. That is huge, getting them their first dual meet win of the season. This one goes all the way down to the 400 free relay. Not just did they take first place, as you see there, in 3:46.44, but they also had third place finish in the 400 freestyle. So that secured that 2-point win for this young Cardinal program. On Saturday, they were jumped the border for a border battle in North Dakota, seeing some swimmers and some teams from other parts, and we only got some partials, but some really good finishes. There was something like, I can't remember what Coach Scholl told me, it was 15 or 20 teams, 120 to 150 athletes.
That's
in
great.
Some of those.
That's a great tournament.
And they had a number. You saw the big list there of top 16 finishes. So that means great things for their young team moving forward as well. They're back to the dual meet schedule, hosting Park Center on Thursday. And then they are at Centennial next Thursday. We have them coming up on our schedule here.
We do.
Pretty soon as well.
I think the third week of the month, I believe.
Sounds about right, on a Tuesday.
Yep, a Tuesday, correct.
It is a Tuesday.
It is a Tuesday.
That much I know. And I think you are correct. I think it's the third Tuesday.
I believe it is the third Tuesday.
So
mark your calendars, because we'll be there.
Nordic ski team. We haven't had any snow, but they have been able to manufacture snow and get groomed snow, and they've been able to practice, and they've been able to race. First race of the season was held back on the 21st over at Elm Creek. It was a freestyle race. The boys finished 6th place out of the teams that were there, and I don't remember if there were 7 or 8 teams there. It was not the entire 14 teams of the Northwest Suburban. Lachlan Demmer was 8th place overall. Albie Ludwig was 18th. Bauer finished in 28th. Wing 34th, and Hyatt in 49th. The girls finished in 2nd place with Stella Bone, taking the first place finish for her own. Great young leader to have for the Cardinals. Ruby Demmer was not far behind, finishing in 5th place. Lott finished in 10th, so 3 top 10 finishes. Fuller and Fuller finished in 21st and 23rd place. So top to bottom, a really good finish. And then they had another event on the 4th. Boys team finished in a tie for 4th place. This one was also at Elm Creek. This was a classic. Ludwig Demmer finished in 5th place overall, so a really nice finish for him. Ludwig up to 15th place, so he improved his spot a little bit. Wing in 23rd, Hyatt 30th, Bauer in 39th. The girls place second this time. Stella Bone finished in 4th. Law finished in 9th. Demmer finished in 10th. So again, 3 top 10 finishers, 17th and 18th for Law and Legree. Then on Saturday, they were at the Mesabi East Invite. This is a gigantic meet. It was 55 teams, something like that.
That's huge.
I mean, it's a gigantic meet, and both teams finished kind of middle of the pack. You have 3 competing in each discipline. Top 2 factor into your team score. There's where you see the boys finished in 29th. Lachlan Demmer finished 15th in the Classic. Wing was 85th in the Freestyle. Girls finished about the same, 30th place. Legree was their top finisher in the Classic in 88th. Law was in 97th. Stella Bowen finished 26th, 28th. 26th place in 12:59.8. Ruby Demmer in 46th. So they were a little stronger in the Freestyle. They have coming up a race on Tuesday this week at Elm Creek, and then next week they are at Woodland Trails. Alpine ski team got its season started on the 19th, I believe, and then again on the 4th. We did not get results for those. We will pass them along if we get them. They have the third race of the season coming up on Thursday. I believe that one's at Trollhagen, and then they're at Wild Mountain on the 18th. Whew. All right. We're almost back to the part where you get to talk.
Oh, okay. That's good. Yeah. People thought I left.
Right. You could have.
I could have taken it. I could have gone out.
God gave me some water.
Yep.
Yeah. Basketball team has been kind of busy. The last time we saw them, this is their first action since. They went and beat Armstrong 94-84 to improved to 4-2 on the season. Jackson Hetwer leading the scoring in that one with 17 points. Jackson Young added 16. Anthony Belpedio 14. Connor Jordan and Kenny Jones each had a dozen. And Freeman had 11. That's 5 different players all in double digits.
That's impressive. That's impressive.
The Cardinals. Then they played Forest Lake on the 22nd. This one's a little disappointing. It's a section rival. Went to overtime. They were missing a couple of guys, had some pieces missing, but they come up just short, losing to Forest Lake 76-72 in overtime. Freeman 24 points and 9 boards. Jackson Young had 22 points, 10 points each for Bennett and Jones. Then on the 28th, they went up to Chisago Lakes and they beat the Wildcats 93-82. 26 points for Young, 22 for Freeman, 17 for Jones, and 10 for Belpedio. They're putting up huge numbers, and it's, outside of Jackson Young, Kenny Jones, there's other guys filling those 3 and 4 spots every night, and that's great.
Yeah, well, Coach O talks about the depth on this team, and he's really impressed with it. And he does have guys coming off the bench that are contributing night after night, and that's really important. And you look at those wins, 90 points a game. It's impressive. Well, after a week off, the Cardinals started 2024 by hosting conference rival Elk River on Thursday. The Elks were 3-5 and struggled on offense, scoring less than 50 points per game. If the Cardinals could establish their tempo, they had a good chance to run away with this one. And that's pretty much what they did, establishing their game early. Jackson Young hits a 3, start of another big night for him. On the Cardinals, they got everybody going early. Belpedio on the baseline tries to give it to Jason Russ for the finish. Coming up here, they're going to drive inside to Russ. Built a double-digit lead midway through the first. Check out the defense. Just pure hustle play by Anthony Belpedio to get the steal. Gives Young a breakaway basket, 32-18 at that point. That was a beautiful play. Final seconds of the first half, Kenny Jones playing the thief. Just rips this one away, goes in to drop it home. Cards up 17 at the break. He had a nice night as well. Well, they keep that train rolling in the second. Jackson Young dialing up another from long distance. He had 20 points, 20 to lead all scores. Nice shot there. And more defense. Let's get it turned to offense. Coming up here, Kenny Jones with the flush to finish. He had 14. Belpedio and Connor Jordan each had 10. Cards win easily, 74-42 was the final.
It was a lot of fun to see them not
Yeah.
only win, but to see them win the way they did. They got everybody involved. They moved the ball around. Just a fun night, and they executed at both ends of the floor.
They really did, and then when their defense is playing well, they're tough to beat because that defense, they're swarming, and they do a really good job of it.
Well, they got a tough test ahead of them this week. They're at Maple Grove on Wednesday. They will host Osseo on Friday. Girls basketball team, we pick up where we left off. They took on the Blaine Bengals on the 21st, losing to the Blue Shirts 69-45. Helen Ben had a double-double. Gaskins was just a rebound away from a double-double herself. Casey Beck, 7 and 9. Kaylin Green did everything other than score. She had no points in the game, but 11 rebounds, 5 steals, 4 assists. That'll keep you on the floor when you keep doing that. Up next, they went to a holiday tournament up in Duluth. Started against the Greyhounds, the hosts, and they were not very nice to their hosts. Beating the Greyhounds 79-49. Casey Beck, just a monster game, 31 points. Helen Ben added 21. And we got to keep moving because we got more to talk about. They went to the championship and they beat Superior by a single point. Helen Ben, another double-double, 22 points and 15 rebounds, 65-64 the final in that one. Well, the Cardinals flipped the calendar to 2024 and got back to work quickly with games on 3 straight days last week. It started on Tuesday with a visit from Cambridge Isani. The former section rival was struggling at just 2-6. It's a great chance for the Cards to win their 3rd straight for the first time in almost 6 years. They could not have asked for a better start as they get everybody going early. Caitlin Green feeds Jada Gaskins down low. Strong move to the middle for the basket. She finished with 16. Cardinals showing their skills in transition. Kaylee Bierman gets it to Helen Ben in the paint. She spins for the basket. Cardinals' first 5 baskets come from 4 different players. More half-court play. Bierman left alone in the corner. She hits the three-pointer, makes it 12-0 for the home team. This game was streaky, and Cambridge actually took a 5-point lead late in the half. Cardinals respond. Helen Ben gets a steal, drives to the basket for the score. Coon Rapids back in front, but just by 1 as they reach the half. Seesaw struggle continues into the second with each team going on runs. Haley Jurdy hit back-to-back threes to put Cambridge up 54-49 midway through. Cardinals finish strong though. Gaskins on the run finds Ben underneath, part of a 14-0 run that put the game in hand for Coon Rapids. Down the stretch, you lean on your horse. Ben had 10 of her game-high 30 points in the last 6 minutes. Cardinals win 73-63.
That was a fun win. Obviously, we were there, and that was something that I thought that, they played pretty well. They've got some nice pieces on this team. Ben obviously leads the way, but Gaskins you're impressed with. Bierman you're impressed with. Green. I mean, they've got some really nice pieces on this squad.
Well, they made it 4 in a row the next night by beating my old nemesis, Minneapolis Washburn. Helen Ben, another double-double. She had 8 steals, so didn't quite have the triple-double. Jada Gaskins had a dozen. Sophia Smith pops up and has 11 points. And then on Thursday, they played Elk River, and that 4-game streak came to a skidding halt against the Elks, losing by almost 30. Another nice night for Helen Ben, but Cardinals at 6-5. Midway through the season, they host Maple Grove on Wednesday. And Howie,
we'll be there.
And then they are at Osseo on Friday. So that gets us all caught up here on Sports Night. Here's what we have coming up for you. Girls basketball on Wednesday against the Crimson. Wrestling against the Elks and the Orioles on Thursday. And then boys basketball on Tuesday next week as they host the Park Center Pirates. But that'll do it for this edition of Sports Night. I want to thank everybody out there for joining us and continuing to support everything we do here at CTN. For the entire crew, including Howie Shapiro, I'm Joe Young saying good night.